Yo, yo. Check 1, 2. Wait till somebody come in the chat. Um, we're talking about Shai Gildeous-Alexander, Anthony Edwards, OKC, and Minnesota last night. All right. Kind of a blowout. Kind of a blowout. 114 to 88. All right. And, you know, watching ESPN yesterday and First Take or whatever, and hearing everybody say that they go, not everybody, but a lot of people were going for the Timberwolves to come out and win game one, saying that Anthony Edwards might have an edge over Shai when it comes to his, intensity and all of that. And, it kind of looked somewhat like that in the beginning because Shai was off. Minnesota had, in the first half, had very good defensive schemes when it comes to, containing Shai. Shai was like, at one point, like 2 or 13 or something like that. 2 or 13 in the first half. It's kind of crazy. Shooting bad. But he ended up going 12 for 27. He took 4 threes, didn't hit any. 31 points though. Led both teams in scoring. 31 points for Shai. Okay. And the other thing you have to realize is that he got help last night. Jalen Williams, my boy, 19 points. He got to score at least 19, 20 points a game, at least. Okay. I would like to see him, score about 20 or 22 points a game at least, just to be, on the safe side. But he did his thing. In the beginning of the game, Hardenstein was the guy that was kind of keeping him afloat on the inside on the paint. He had 12 points, but he was a lob threat, grabbing boards, doing what he does. Let's see how many rebounds he had. And he was only 6 or 8 from the field. Hardenstein was 6 or 8 from the field last night. He only had 5 rebounds, but his presence was definitely necessary. He had to stick, Julius Randle and sometimes, Rudy Gobert. But the contribution from the team, man, the defense of OKC was ferocious. Anthony Edwards was in foul trouble last night, so there was a few times when he tried to, switch on Shai, but Shai is such a hard person to guard. Jaden McDaniels, he fouled out, and Shai got to the line. Shai got to the line last night. Let's see how many times he got to the line. He took 14 free throws. 14 free throws, okay? And hit 11 out of 14. And so we know he gonna get to the line. A lot of people try to say he foul baits or, he flops, but he don't flop. And he hit some tough shots. Tough and ones, He hit some tough and ones. Like that one, he was falling to the floor, still was able to get that English off the glass to hit it perfectly. You know what I'm saying? And it just, I don't know. The way the Thunder played last night, I feel like if they go up 2-0, I think they can possibly do a gentleman's sweep of Minnesota. What y'all think? I believe OKC can do a gentleman's sweep. I see the Timberwolves. This is my caveat. The Timberwolves might only win one game if they don't win the next game. If OKC goes up 2-0, it's going to be a gentleman's sweep. I can see OKC Thunder going up 2-0, going to Minnesota, losing the first game, winning game 4, and then coming back to OKC and winning. But I don't know. Does anybody know in the Western Conference Finals? I can't remember. Do they do like 2 2-1, or is it a split? Like, do they split it? I forget how they do it. I know they change it up at either the Eastern in the conference finals or the regular finals. I'm not sure. But if you're in this chat, man, hit that like button for me, please. If y'all watched the game last night, you know, who did y'all have? I want to see in the chat, like, who did y'all have last night? OKC or Minnesota? You know what I'm saying? Now, Rudy Gobert last night. Only 2 points, and he was a -2. His plus or minus was a -2, okay? Not too good, right? But Anthony Edwards, like, him as well. One thing about Anthony Edwards, man, like, he gets to chucking up threes sometimes. He was 3 of 8. He wasn't too bad, but some of his shot selection don't really sit well with me, you know, and he kind of forced the issue a little bit too much. He got to learn how to pick his spots a little bit better. Shai, like I said, in the first half, he couldn't really get nothing going, but he still was able to impact the team. Julius Randle held it down. If it wasn't for Julius Randle, dog, in the first half, Julius Randle hit about like 4 or 5 threes in a row. And he finished with 28 points. He led them in scoring. Anthony Edwards only had 18. But Julius Randle was 9 of 13 from the field. Okay, 5 of 6 from 3. 83%. Okay. Julius Randle is not known for shooting threes, but he did what he had to do. He could have been a little more aggressive in the second half. You know, I think it was a while before he hit his first shot in the second half. He didn't take too many shots in the third quarter at all. So I don't know what that was about, why he wasn't so aggressive, because that's when the Thunder would kind of get their, you know, rhythm in and really, you know, taking charge of the game. You know, but Naz Reid couldn't buy a bucket. I think one of 11 from the field. He kept shooting threes. He shoots pretty flat-footed, you know, and sometimes, you know, when Naz Reid is hitting threes, it's a problem, honestly. It's a real problem. But, you know, he couldn't buy a bucket. Dante DiVincenzo is still having bad games, subpar games. Okay, we still haven't seen an unleashed version of Dante DiVincenzo. They're gonna need Dante DiVincenzo to be good in order for them to play better. In order for Minnesota to have success, I believe he's gonna be one of the X factors, right? Yeah. Mike Conley. I mean, old man is doing what he can do, right? But I just want to know, man, what y'all think. Like, Jalen Williams, my boy, like I said, he had 19 points. Chet Holmgren had 15. Chet Holmgren, dude, like, what I like about Chet and what I don't like about Chet, I'll tell y'all both, okay? Chet Holmgren is a very good player, but when he plays with more pace and patience, he tends to be playing better. But when Chet is kind of forcing the issue, he kind of, you know what I'm saying, not too good. Not too good, you know, because he had a few little careless turnovers last night. And, you know, he gets to the paint, kind of don't know what to do now. He throws the ball away. And Chet, it's time to hit the weight room, brother. You need a good 20 pounds on you. You know, Chet Holmgren needs to gain about 20 pounds of muscle in the offseason because he gets knocked down to the floor pretty often. He looks a little light in the ass. And, you know, it just is what it is. We got to get Chet in the weight room, y'all. He needs some good food, some good old food, right? But I believe that if Chet, you know, gains more strength, be a little more of a presence, low post, not that he got to be like a Giannis or anything like that, because we ain't going to get that out of him, but just so he can be a little more sturdy in the paint. He got to be a little more sturdy in the paint. He does. And luckily they got Hartenstein, and I like them when they play together more so than Hartenstein coming in for Chet, because You know, you need that enforcer, that bigger body, you know, a guy who can box out to let Chet get more rebounds. And, you know, it is what it is. Look, in comparison to Shai and Ant, right? In comparison to Shai and Ant, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was a plus 22 when he was on the floor, and Anthony Edwards was a negative 23. Anthony Edwards is a negative 23 on the floor. Okay. Nas Reed, negative 21. Right. Nickeil Walker, which is Shai's cousin. All right. A negative 14. He only had 8 points. He was 3 of 11. You know, so they just shot bad. 34% from the field. You're not going to win. You're not going to beat the OKC Thunder 34% from the field. Okay? When they were 80%. No, 50%. I'm sorry. 50% from the field. Yeah. The other Jalen Williams didn't play last night. I don't know. It must be hurt or something. Lou Dort had the defensive assignment on Anthony Edwards. And Caruso, man. Caruso really is the X factor when it comes to OKC and Minnesota. Caruso had to stick Julius Randle. He stuck Jokic in the last series. Alex Caruso is very detrimental to this team being successful. Hit a few key threes. He's very great in transition. Hell of an asset for OKC. And yeah. All in all, though, like with the way OKC played last night, I see, like I said, with the way OKC played last night, I really see them winning the series. And look, I'm not counting Minnesota out. I'm not a fool. Anthony Edwards can go nuclear next game. You know, he can go nuclear next game, and then we can see a whole different story. So, like I said, Game 2 is like, to me, one of the most pivotal games in the series already. You know, I really feel like if the Minnesota Timberwolves steal a game at home in this first part of the series, that's going to change. Now, I can say that the series will go 6 or 7 games at that point. If Minnesota wins the next game, If Minnesota wins the next game, we go on 6 or 7 games. But if OKC wins Game 2, I believe they will complete the gentleman's sweep. What y'all think? You know, hit the like button. Hit the like button. If you're in the chat, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel, man. We going live. I'm going live every day. I'm definitely going live every day after each game. We got tonight's matchup. We got, New York Knicks versus the Indiana Pacers tonight. And I believe that the New York Knicks will win Game 1. At least I want them to. But the Pacers will be a hard team to beat. They play like a hard-nosed college team, So, I want to know y'all thoughts on who's winning tonight, who's going to win that series, period. And it's time for New York to get some revenge on Indiana. Indiana knocked them out last year, so, it is what it is. But this is a different New York team. You got a healthy Mitchell Robinson, a healthy Jalen Brunson, and you got Karl Anthony Towns this year. It's a different team. So I feel like we're gonna see an epic series by the Knicks. And like I said, the Knicks hadn't, even in the Celtics series, the Knicks did not play good basketball the entire time. They were losing every first 2 or 3 quarters and would come back and win. the last game when they blew out the Celtics was the only game they really played a really good game. So you got to understand the Knicks are, if they come out blazing, it's going to be a long day for the Pacers, you know. But we got SGA is number one now. I got SGA over Anthony Edwards anyway. SGA is definitely a more polished player than Anthony Edwards when it comes to his poise on the court. Anthony Edwards is more ferocious, more, whatever. But SGA has a little better, like a better IQ, a better basketball IQ than Anthony Edwards. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Because, it is what it is. So when it's all said and done, Shai Gildeous-Alexander this year will be the best player in the league, especially if he wins the championship. We know he's gonna win the MVP. I'm just putting it out there. He's gonna win, but he's the best player in the league, especially if he wins the championship this year. If he not dethrones, but if he knocks Anthony Edwards out, we ain't gonna have no discussions about who's the best guard. It is what it is. And if he wins the championship, he's the best in the league for now. Jokic so the top three players in the league is Jokic, Giannis, and Shai, right? Jokic, Giannis, and Shai. But you got to put team success in with these claims, in my opinion, to an extent. So I'm giving SGA the edge this year of being the best player if he wins the championship this year. It'll be a hell of a season for him to win the league MVP and the NBA championship. That'll be crazy. That'll be epic. But signing out, man, it's your boy Carl Anthony. Due Season Hoops. We out. See y'all tomorrow.